the basis of the foundation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voices of the Met, powered by the Met Baby Shop. I'm your host, Imani, and today I'm back with a very special guest. I have with me today Mrs. Lashonda Rice. Mrs. Rice is a broker associate with LPTD Realty in Columbia, South Carolina, with nearly 9 years of experience helping home buyers, sellers, and investors navigate the real estate market. Known for her commitment to education, she empowers clients with the knowledge to make confident decisions. She is a proud HBCU alum, holding a bachelor's in biology from Fayetteville State University and a master's in business management. Realtor Rice earned her broker license in just 3 years into her career and is a licensed real estate agent and instructor holding multiple designations, including military relocation professional, while serving as a SC housing down payment assistant agent, NACA authorized agent, and HUD registered agent. She is also a C2EX endorsed agent and the current president of the Women's Council of Realtors for Midlands. Realtor Rice is passionate about empowering her community, especially women in business, while bringing her signature style and confidence into every deal that she closes. Hey, Realtor Rice, welcome. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you here. And so we'll just get right into it. I know you're not originally from South Carolina, so can you walk us through what that journey looked like for you? Why South Carolina?
Yeah, of course. So I met my husband in college, and he's from South Carolina. So he took a position here in South Carolina, which moved our family down here over 20 years ago. And we've been here ever since. So we love it here. Columbia's home now for us. I've spent literally half my life here. So that's how I got here.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So I know you, and I know this is a little off grid, but I know you have children here, and I think you said your sons, they play professional basketball and collegiate basketball. And so I do want to touch into a little bit about that, of course, but I just want to say you are inspiring for all the mothers, all the realtors, all the powerful, strong Black women out there chasing their dreams. So I just want to pause there and say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. That really means a lot. Thank you.
So, you've been in real estate for nearly 9 years. So, what first drew you to this field? And then I want to ask, how did your background in biology and business shape how you view real estate?
So I got into real estate not from like a story that you would hear most people, right? Like so many people say things like they love decorating houses or they love looking through model homes and things like that. I don't. The reality is I don't. I don't enjoy those types of things. But I worked in occupational safety and health for over 15 years, which is why my biology degree kind of related to that field. But I had a position in which it just wasn't for me. The environment at my position just was a toxic environment. I knew I had to do something different. So after leaving that position, I took a month off and just to collect myself. And then I decided that I wanted to go into business for myself. I became interested in real estate because I knew it was something that I could control. I didn't have to be under the thumb of someone else. I knew I could put my schedule the way I wanted to put my schedule. I knew I would have more time for my children. And that's one of the things I was missing out when it came to the corporate job that I had. I was missing a lot of that time. And as you said, my kids played sports. And so I was even missing out on that. And that was a no-go for me as a mother. I was not having that at all. So I signed up for the courses. I did the in-person all-day courses. It only took me about 2 months, I think, to get licensed. And from there, I've been in that industry ever since.
Wow. That's such an amazing story still, though. And I know this is not one of the questions that I have, but I kind of want to ask you what that month looked like for you when you were in that small in-between phase of like leaving an old self, but also coming into what you're becoming and who you're becoming and what the new route is. Like, what did that month look like for you?
So that was definitely a weird time for me because I went from going to work every day. I'd worked literally my entire life, except for when my kids were like babies. I've always worked. And so to have that month off, it was really more about collecting myself and getting in my head more, deciding who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And that's what I did. And I wanted to make sure that what I was getting into was going to be right for me and right for my family. And so I took that month to do that, to process, to figure out, okay, if I'm going into real estate, then I have to go in 100%. I can't go in sidestepping because, as you know, this business is not for the weak. And so I knew I had to be confident that this is what I was going to do, taking some time to pray about it, seeking God first to make sure I was making that right step. So that's kind of what I did in that month. It was just a time to breathe, honestly, because I never had that in my life. I never had the breaks. So it was actually a lot better for me looking back than I thought it was back then.
I appreciate that answer. Just for some of our viewers that may be in that pause, in that breath of a second, which when we come out the other side, it really is a blessing. So I'm glad that you were able to share that with us. And so switching gears just a little bit, you emphasize education in your work. What are some common misconceptions that you see from first-time home buyers?
Some common misconceptions include not realizing how important your debt to income ratio is. I think most people understand that credit is very important when buying a first home, but they don't really realize that if you've accumulated a lot of debt, and that could be car payments, that could be anything you finance, like furniture, it could be your student loan debt, it could be any type of debt, that debt plays a huge part in whether or not you're going to be able to qualify to purchase a home. So I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions with first-time home buyers.
Okay. So now, okay, can you give us another one? Because now I'm like, okay, wait. Can you give us another one? Like, what's another one? Because my dad, he's a broker, and he just recently got his real estate license as well. You may know him, Tarek Simon. Yeah, that's my dad. So he's talked to me a lot about, building credit and keeping my credit clean, and how the debt to income ratio, where that is, and how to fix it if it gets a little wobbly. But looking at, like, for instance, my generation, where a lot of us are going into first-time home buying, but we're looking at the market and we're like, so now maybe the credit card is being used a little bit heavier than we would like it to be. So, like, what are some tips for us, I would say?
Well, you asked for other examples. I think another example of something that maybe is not quite understood by a lot of first-time home buyers is the amount of money that you need to have saved also, because we hear all these things about down payment assistance, which those are great. As you mentioned in the beginning of the program, I am very familiar with a bunch of these different down payment assistance programs, and they will give you money to help you purchase a home. But it's not just your down payment. You also have to think about your closing costs. And your closing costs are things that you have to pay for in order to buy that house. So, for example, your attorney's fees, any HOA fees, any taxes, your insurance, all of those things are included in your closing costs. And so a lot of times, especially even my VA buyers are like, oh, I don't have a down payment, so I don't really need a lot of money to buy a home. And that's just not reality. You still have to pay closing costs. Now, in our market, we do see a lot of sellers that are willing to help with that closing costs, that will pay some or even all of your closing costs, especially builders. But we have to ask for it. It's not something that we have to assume that we're going to get. And then the other money involved, like your appraisal, your inspections, your earnest money. Most people have never even heard of earnest money. So those are things that sometimes people are not quite prepared for as first-time home buyers, and that's okay, because I feel like that's my job to educate them on what they need. And a lot of times people aren't ready to purchase a home when they first come to me. But it may take us a month, it may take us 3 months, it may take us a year, but we're going to get you there, right? So it's my job to educate you and tell you some of the things you need to do. Now, your generation specifically, I love working with Gen Z buyers. And the reason that I love working with Gen Z buyers is because most Gen Z buyers have already researched it to death, right? You already know some of the things that you need to buy a home. You probably already know what type of home you want to buy. You probably already know where you want to buy. And a lot of Gen Z buyers want to be investors. A lot of Gen Z buyers want to buy those multi-unit properties They want to buy properties that they can Airbnb or do short-term rentals. So I really love the passion that comes with Gen Z buyers, and the preparedness that Gen Z buyers have. So that's one thing I could say about your generation.
Nice. I appreciate that answer. And so, kind of going along the lines of the education, I do want to ask, being a broker and a realtor, how has the mixing of those two things helped you in your career?
Because getting your broker license, you can kind of compare that to maybe having a master's degree. So you're basically doing the same things. It's just that you have like an advanced degree to go along with that. So there was a little bit more education involved with that, but that's pretty much the main difference between a regular salesperson and someone with a broker license. So I don't broker my brokerage. I don't broker my firm. I'm not the broker in charge, but I do carry a broker license.
Mm, nice. Okay. Thank you for that answer.
You're welcome.
So what does client success look like for you beyond just closing a deal?
Client success is, to me, is making sure they made the best decision for themselves. For example, when you get a pre-approval, one of the first things you have to do is talk to a lender, like your dad, and they have to get a pre-approval letter or just some type of pre-approval. That's going to give you your purchase power or your budget. How much house can I afford, right? So for me, I always suggest, especially for my first-time home buyers, that they not shop at the top of that budget, because you may be stretching yourself too thin. So my recommendation is always saying, most of us live on kind of like a month-to-month thing in our heads. So decide, how much am I willing to pay per month for my housing? And it may not be at the top of that budget, even though you may be approved for $1 million home, but you know you don't want to pay that much per month for housing just to live somewhere, right? You have other things you want to do. You might want to go on vacations. You might like to shop. You might like to eat out a lot. And so maybe those are not the things you want to sacrifice just to live in a bigger or fancier home. And so that's kind of my advice there. That's success for me, is getting my buyers in a good spot, in a good position, and a home that is good for them and their family.
Okay, I like that.
Mhm.
And so another question that's in here, when your buyers are coming to you or your clients are coming to you and they don't have as much knowledge about buying a home, what does the education process look like? Do you run your own classes, or is it just intertwined with, what you're doing with the phone calls? Like, what does that look like?
So what I always do, one of the first things I like to do with my buyers is we sit down and we have what we call a buyer consultation. And I tell people that's where we go over the home buying process from A to Z. It's like going to class, right? We're going to start from step one all the way up until closing table and beyond, actually, because there are things that buyers have to do even after they close and they need to be aware of. Things that I can't help them with, things that the attorney can't help them with, things their lender can't help them with, that they have to do on their own. So I make sure that I'm educating them on step one of the process. We're setting expectations, things they need to look for, money that they'll have to spend, and then the things that they need to do after they close.
Nice. I like that. That's very helpful. I can see now, like, it's like being able to come in there and have everything right in front of you while also being able to speak and ask live questions. That's really helpful.
Yeah,
And,
I even
trying to
have
look everything up.
Yeah, I even have like a flow chart, because people learn in different ways. Some people, if I just verbally tell them, they got it. But for some people, they need to see it like as a flow chart. Like, you're in this step, now we're moving on to that step. And then if we do this, then we go to that step. If not, we go to that step. So I also have that as well.
I love the visuals. We need those. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, you bring your style and your personality, your authenticity to the brand. You are the brand, right? And so,
Right.
how important is authenticity in your line of work?
To me, it is super important, because what most people are picking is who they want to work with, right? You want to have people know, like, and trust you. And the way I do that is just by being myself. If I try to be anybody else, it's going to look fake and it's going to look phony. And one of the things I pride myself in is whenever people want to work with me through social media and they meet me for the first time in person, they always say, you're exactly how you are on social media. Like, you're the exact same person and you're very authentic. And to me, that's the biggest compliment, is just to be myself. When I first got into real estate, there were people that told me, if you dress up every day, people are going to know you're a rookie. People said that, and it's like, wow, so being myself, people are going to automatically think I'm a rookie. Well, that's just who I am. I'm going to wear my heels every day. I'm going to dress up every day. I'm going to have this big hair. Like, that's just who I am. That's the way God made me. And so if I try to be someone else, I just don't understand how anybody would want to work with someone who is trying to be someone else. So I can only be me.
I love that. I love that. Y'all write that down. Write that down. I can only be me. Right. Right. I love that. And so switching gears just a little bit, you're an agent in like multiple different ways. Like, you have a lot of different things that your hand is in. So how do you manage doing everything? Because you're not just, a real estate agent, you're also a mother, you know what I'm saying? A wife. So what does your life look like when you're balanced?
Okay, so that is a really good question, because it does get tough at times, because as real estate agents, we're working when people are off, right? So we're working weekends, we're working evenings, and all those things. And we work during the regular workday as well. So for me, it's about setting boundaries. One thing is, yes, I'll work on a Saturday. Sometimes I'll work on a Sunday, but I try to have Sunday and Monday off. I kind of keep like hairdresser hours or hairdresser days, because I know I'm probably going to be working on Saturday. So that's one thing, is having those boundaries, putting your phone on do not disturb after a certain hour. And also remember, we talked about setting expectations at the buyer consultation or the seller appointment, and being clear on how you communicate. So for example, telling someone, hey, I don't respond to texts after 8 o'clock. It's okay if you text me. You won't get a response until the next day. Just know that I got it. It's okay to text me, but don't expect a response from me. And if you set those expectations up front, it's a whole lot easier to communicate. Also, finding out how your client communicates. Do they prefer email? Do they prefer text? Do they prefer a phone call? All of those things make it easier. And of course, I'm going to take off with anything that I need to do for my family. That's non-negotiable. They always come first. I love my clients, I really do, but my family always comes first.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So, you're also currently the president of the Women's Counselor of Realtors for Midlands. What does that role look like for you, and what was the journey to get there?
Okay, so that's a good question, because we are a new network. We're the newest network in South Carolina. And so that process of, I'm actually the charter president. So that means,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
The first president of our network. And so just working out all the kinks, having to work and do more as a board than what most boards normally do, because we're still trying to set up committees and other things so we can do less work, so we can meet a little bit less. But it's just a lot of planning right now. We do have events. We have one coming up this Thursday, and it's called Bloom. And it's just about building up women, being open to opportunities, and manifesting in our business. And so we're really super excited about this event. But yeah, it's something new for me, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
That's really exciting. Congrats. Yeah. That's really a big deal. It was already a big deal, but charter is a big deal, because God is doing something new through you, and that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Like, I love that. I love your life. This is dope. Okay. So I know we're gonna get ready to close here, but a couple more questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what has been one of the most impactful moments in your journey, in your career so far?
That's a good question, Imani. Let me think. I think one of the most impactful things in my real estate journey has been deciding what works for me, because you're going to have things and advice coming at you from all different directions, but you have to know what your what you want your business to look like and sticking with that. Of course, you can pivot if things change, but just making sure you're staying true to who you are. And one of those things is just recently I switched brokerages. And that's made a huge impact because I'm the type of person where I don't like to, switch brokerages. I don't want to be or seem disloyal or anything like that. I'm usually very loyal. I'm one of the people at the brokerage who's going to be positive and I'm going to help out as much as I can. But I came to a point where I realized it was time to move on. And that was a tough decision. And it was really literally like a year-long process. And so that has been very, very impactful. It's just even making that leap and making that decision.
Yeah. And it seems like you have a pattern here of like being able to acknowledge when it's time to move on, when it's a chapter is ending. And I feel like that's so important because a lot of us, we stay really until the wheels is falling off before we're
Yes.
like, let me do something different. But it seems like you're really in tune. You know, you're really in tune, and I think that's important, especially in what you're doing. It's important to make sure that your clients know that they can be in alignment. You know what I'm saying? They should be praying before they, picking a house. You see all your options, pray over it, like,
Listen, and if they're not, I'm praying for them.
Right.
So just know that somebody is praying on your behalf. Yes, for sure. And I'm also, I consider myself like the calm in the storm. So when those wheels do start to get a little shaky, I'm cool as a cucumber. Like they're not going to see it in my face. They're not going to hear it in my voice. I'm going to make sure that I've probably already settle whatever the problem is before I even tell them what it is. Like that's how I am. I don't want to rattle my clients at all. I'm the calm in the storm. Just let me walk you through this and we'll get through it.
It sounds like you are a great realtor. Like that's dope. That's amazing. So about 2 more questions for you ish. Let's see how you answer these.
Sure.
So for someone that is looking to get into real estate, looking to get into this profession, what is a piece of advice that you wish you would have had starting out?
To basically know what you want your business to look like. Know that it's not always what you see on social media. It's not all luxury homes with pools and 3-story homes and a lot of grounds and all that stuff. It's not all of that. It is helping people understand their credit. It's helping people understand debt to income ratio a lot of times. It is making sacrifices that you didn't think you would need to make, because every real estate agent has made a sacrifice or has done something for their client that is something they didn't have to do. And that's just who we are. Just know that it's also going to take time. For me, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time to figure out how I wanted to run my business and to get it running so that I had a steady pipeline and a steady, amount of clients coming through. It took a while. I would say it took me a good 2 years to really get my feet on the ground where I wanted them to be. So just know you have to be patient.
That's a great answer. I love that. And so what legacy do you hope to leave in both real estate and in the community?
Oh, that's a good question. So I am big on community. I am. So it was important to me because I'm not from here and I know I'm different. Like I know I speak differently. I know I look different. I know I dress different. And just getting people to trust me and know me for who I am. That was very important. So I always support local. I love supporting local. I'm not the Amazon girl. Like I'm going to find local businesses that I can support. I love connecting people. So when my clients buy their home or sell their home with me, the relationship is not over. So if you need a plumber, give me a call. If you need a hair braider, give me a call. Like anything in the community that you need, if you need somebody that makes cake pops, I probably know somebody. So that's what I love about my community is just actively being involved in my community and building up that trust with my community. So that's kind of the legacy I want to leave is that she's not just here for a check. She's really here to build relationships and to help people. My business is almost solely built on relationships, whether those relationships are actual people I know or relationships with people I've built on social media.
That's amazing. And going right into this, what does it mean to you to be a Met baby? Like you said, I know you're not necessarily from Columbia, but you have sowed so many seeds into fertile ground in our state and in our city, and you are a Met baby. That's why
Yes,
you're here. And so what does that mean to you when you're rocking the merch, when you're seeing the logos? Like, what does that mean to you?
it means that I feel like I have been accepted into this community, right? So, like I said, when I first came, I felt like a fish out of water. I didn't know, right? I didn't know how that was going to work out. But just being here, raising my kids here, if I raise my kids here, I have to be involved, right? I have to be a part of the community. There's no doubt about that. I love seeing people from the metro go off and do great things. I'm always rooting for them, especially all the athletes that we know that are going off doing great things, playing professional basketball, playing professional football, or whatever it is they're doing, going off to play college sports. We love to see it. We love to support it. And so even though I didn't technically grow up here, I feel like I have been accepted here. My kids have been loved on. I never worried about my kids. That's one of the reasons why I never moved back to North Carolina, is that my kids were well taken care of here. Everybody knew who they were, and I didn't have to worry about them at all while they were here. And so this is their community. And so by default, it has become my community as well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love to hear that the community, that we always together, man. That's what it's about. That's what Columbia is about, man. So thank you again, Realtor Rice, for being here. And thank y'all for joining us here today and tuning into the Voices of the Met. This ain't just interviews, y'all. This is where we highlight the ones that's making it out or making it away. Don't forget to follow at the Met Baby Shop on Insta and grab some merch from at www.crudycoleman.com. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
I just rob and weed things life throw at me. Who knew I'd be the greatest counter puncher in the